Today on the All Kinds of Weather forecast, the Gators softball team is in the 2024 Women's College World Series. It's the Elite Eight of college softball, and a special occasion calls for a special guest. We've got former Gator softball star Amanda Lorenz with us today to preview the Gators' journey through the final stage of the NCAA Tournament in their quest for the program's third national championship. This is the All Kinds of Weather forecast. Welcome back to the All Kinds of Weather forecast. I am your host, Neil Schulman. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at All Kinds Weather, Facebook under the name In All Kinds of Weather, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your podcast as the In All Kinds of Weather forecast. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe and comment your thoughts below on what we're talking about today. And today we've got a special softball show talking about the Gators softball team's journey to the Women's College World Series. Special show, as you guys know, calls for a special guest. We've got that today. We definitely got that today in former Gator softball star Amanda Lorenz, 4-time All-American, 2016 SEC Freshman of the Year, a 3-time first-team All-American in the ensuing 3 years. Gator softball record books are littered with her name. 3 different seasons of hitting for over 400, which is ridiculous. The all-time batting average leader of 407, the all-time on-base percentage leader at 549, second only to Kelsey Stewart in hits and total bases. She played in 3 Women's College World Series, had a lot of success on that field in OKC, so who better to talk about the games about to be played there than someone who's played a lot of them. Amanda, thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to the conversation today about the Gators.
Thanks for having me. I'll take any opportunity to talk about the Gators, so I'm excited.
Yeah, so I mean, I think everyone's excited. It's an exciting time. Gators have a very exciting team. You had a very exciting career for the Gators with 3 Women's College World Series in there, and I think for maybe the newer Gator fans, good icebreaker we call the lightning round to help our listeners get to know you a little better before we get to the crux of our conversation. We ask different questions of different athletes in different sports, but the first question is always the same. Why did you become a Florida Gator?
Oh, I love that question. Well, I'm a Southern California kid, so growing up, I really wanted to go somewhere where they really valued softball and valued female athletes, and knew I wanted to stay involved in softball in some capacity post school. So wanted to be a sport management major. And my first visit to Florida, just really, Gainesville felt like home. Like you hear that cliche that recruits will go on visits and they say like, oh, it just felt like home. And I would hear that going through the process, but I really felt that when I got to Gainesville, and it really felt like I was going to be celebrated the same way that football players or basketball players were going to be celebrated. Like our fans want to be at softball games and cheer on softball players. And so I wanted that. And then obviously Coach Walton, I'm his biggest fan, probably outside of his family. And I connected with him really quickly and just knew that he was going to be someone that was going to push me to everything that I wanted to accomplish and more.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot to accomplish at Florida, as you mentioned. And football probably is what it's best known for, but there are definitely other sports that have a lot of success behind them. I mean, softball, as you know, gymnastics also, Gator baseball. Actually didn't win a natty until after you got there, but long history there at basketball. Softball was one of the newer sports. I mean, the history of softball is a little weird in that it was the AWIW and it was slow pitch. So it didn't really exist in the same capacity as it does now. But for what little time there was, the Gators were very good at it. And I'm sure that appealed to you as well. So there were a lot of memories that I'm sure you had both playing for the Gators and watching the Gators compete before and after your playing days. So which of those moments were your favorites? First, your favorite memory as an athlete on the field for the Gators, and then to watch the your successors, I guess, have after your days were over.
Yeah. Oh, great. I think my favorite memory is Jordan Matthews' walk-off home run against Texas A&M to send us to the College World Series in 2018. That was pretty electric and unbelievable for a freshman to come through in that moment. I remember being on second base and just knowing like, hey, I'm going to run as fast as I can so I can score and we can tie this game. And all of a sudden I'm about to touch third and the crowd erupted. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And I'm like screaming like, take over, like crying as I'm running into home, like just because it was just so insane, like the coolest moment of my career and just something that I'll remember forever. And then now I had the incredible opportunity of staying on staff for 3 years after I was done playing, and winning a super regional on the road in Blacksburg, Virginia has to be one of my favorite memories. Obviously, I always had the luxury of playing at home. Winning a super regional away is a lot of fun. Doing it in front of other people's fans, and that everyone wants you to lose and everyone expects you to lose. So to see that group buy in against a really, really good team in Virginia Tech and win on the road was really special. And I was so thankful to be a part of it and witness it firsthand.
So I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't follow up on both of those points. First, when did it sink into you that the ball off of Jordan Matthews' bat had actually cleared the yard and it wasn't just like a hard hit single or a gapper, like it was actually gone? When did that moment sink in that it was over, that you were going to OKC?
It was right as I was stepping on third. Like I could see Coach Walton absolutely freaked out, and he usually keeps his cool. And he was like clear, like I couldn't even see him. The crowd erupted. And so I was literally, and I saw all of the girls trying to get out of the dugout. And so I was literally just crying, like tears were just coming out of me even before I touched home. But oh God, it was the craziest experience.
I just have to point out very, very briefly, that was, as far as I can remember, the one jubilant Gator moment where I did not cheer. I was just like, I was just frozen in shock at what
Yeah.
had just happened. It hit me like 5-10 minutes later. I was like, oh, we actually just did that. That's not like a mirage. They weren't just flashing back to something she did in March. That was actually live, and she just did that. And now we're going back to OKC.
Mhm.
Won't talk about what happened in OKC because we know that's a sore memory. Although beating Georgia 11-3 was pretty nice, but after that,
Good
not so
memory.
much. But yeah, so going on the road to Blacksburg, Virginia, it's actually probably a good segue into our main topic of conversation because Florida is going to be playing a road game to start the Women's College World Series, essentially. What is that like to go on the road in softball when you've played so many games at home in front of all your home fans, to hear them all cheering for you, rooting for you, and then to know it's the exact opposite? What is the mindset of the players going into that? Is it any different? And if it is, how do you combat that?
Yeah, I think that we're really fortunate in the fact that we play in the SEC, right? So we're used to that every other weekend of playing against these fan bases that really don't want you to succeed. And so that's kind of normal for us, right? So by the time that you get as a group to Oklahoma for the World Series, or in our case in 2022 when we played Supers on the road in Blacksburg, like we're already primed, and it's not anything different for us to play in a hostile environment. So I'd say like we do a really good job of preparing for that all year. Before every SEC series, like a big one, we're playing at Bama or LSU, where they're just a little louder than some of the other ones. Like we would play with the music really loud and just do certain things to try and communicate over some loud music, because that's what their fans do. And so they will definitely experience that. Obviously in Oklahoma, you have both Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in the World Series this year, and their fans travel and they're passionate. And but it's just they won't be fazed by it.
Well, they haven't been fazed by much so far this year. I mean, losing a game to LSU, I thought that was going to be this series may not go well. No problem. They come back and win the series. Losing the game to Baylor, I didn't think Florida would lose, but I thought, okay, they got punched in the mouth. How are they going to respond? Nope, no problem. They come back and beat them the next day. Clearly, this team for Florida is battle tested. We'll talk about that in more detail in a second. But to end the lightning rounds, favorite Gator jersey color combo?
Oh, um, God, now I'm like such a Gator through and through. I love like a blue jersey with orange pants and white stirrups. Like I love the orange and blue combos. Like give me all all the orange and blue together, but I love a blue on blue too.
See, I do too. So many people like the all whites and so many people like the all blacks. I mean, I guess like for an occasion, but it's orange and blue. Those are our colors. The Gators
Yeah.
are orange and blue. We should be showcasing them. I'm with you. I'm glad you're on my side on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so transitioning into the crux of our episode, sort of a segue question here about the sunflowers that Gator softball players wear. I think everyone at this point is aware of them. Maybe not everybody, especially newer fans, knows the story behind it. A girl named Heather Braswell. Actually, you're probably better to tell it than me. Um, Tell us about both the story, the background of it, and then how it was introduced to you. Like, because you weren't there when it happened. So how was the story taught to you when you first became aware of it? And then what did it mean to you?
Yeah, so I don't know the year that it started, but Francesca and is actually the one that kind of jump started this relationship with Friends of Jacqueline, and just being the one to, be at Shands and have these relationship with these kids. She had a really amazing relationship with a young boy named Ian. And so that was the first relationship with a kid with cancer that she kind of took into the program. And then after Ian unfortunately passed away, and she got involved with Friends of Jacqueline. Here comes Heather, who is part of the program. She will be a part of the program forever, for as long as it exists. But I committed in 2012, and I'm pretty sure, or maybe 11, I don't know, long time ago. And I'm pretty sure Heather was even already a part of the program then. So Heather was a young girl battling brain cancer, a medulloblastoma, and gold and yellow is the color of pediatric cancer. Heather loved sunflowers, so it just kind of turned into the way that the Gators would honor Heather, and just all kids battling cancer was to put these sunflowers in their hair and on Saturdays and call them Sunflower Saturdays. And just so if Heather was in the hospital or on the field with them, like when she looks at the TV, she knows that the Gators are wearing their sunflowers and it's for her. And just all kids too, just to know that, we're thinking of them and playing for them, and thinking of them and all the things. And so, yeah, so as a recruit, I would always see the yellow sunflowers, and I don't think I fully grasped. I just thought they were pretty and looked cute in their hair, and looked good with the orange and blue. And then my freshman year, Aubrey Monroe did a really good job of just explaining the sunflower, what it means, and why we go to Shands and why we do all of these Goodwill Gator trips to connect with the community, and just show that softball is not like, it's not who we are, it's what we do. And we're given this incredible platform at Florida, which not every school has the platform that Gators do. And there's something good that we can do with it. And obviously having Shands right around the corner from our stadium, we have like an incredible opportunity to connect with kids there and just try to make their days a little bit brighter. And so, yeah, so that just kind of took off, and we had continued to wear the sunflower, and obviously it will stay in the program forever. And then my senior year, we adopted another adoptee through Friends of Jacqueline named Hartley Georges, who has now been in remission for a few years and is doing amazing and still very involved with the program, her and her family. And I'm incredibly close to them as well, and just completely changed my life of sitting next to this 10-year-old girl as she's getting chemo. It shook me to my core of something that I never, like, you hear about kids with cancer, but until you're like in the room and you're seeing what their parents have to see and what this perfect little girl has to like inject this poison into her body to fight this awful disease, it's just horrible. And so that completely changed my life and my purpose and just how I view the world, and like how, this game, it is what it is. And when Hartley would come to our games, she would hug me the same when I got in the dugout, if I hit a home run or if I struck out, like it did not matter. And there's much harder things that we're going to face than just a softball game or winning a super regional. And even though winning a super regional is so hard, there's so many other things that are much harder.
Yeah, I mean it's an amazing story, and softball is really filled with them. I've always been amazed at how the softball community always comes together for a variety of great causes. I mean, this is one of them. Alex Wilcox at Mississippi State, who passed away from ovarian cancer. The teal that a lot of teams wear. Tell every amazing lady teal, the color of ovarian cancer. That's kind of a cool way to bring awareness to a really awful thing that's happened. But I've always loved that about softball. It's just such a togetherness type of feeling. It's not just like you do it for your team, you do it for maybe one other team in the conference. No, like the entire conference wears teal for Alex. And I think there have even been other teams to wear the yellow for Heather at different points. So it's just one of the things that drew me to softball initially, and Gator fans should definitely be aware of as we go forward. So, as you mentioned, that story lives on to this day. The Gators will still wear sunflowers in their hair in 2024. I think the whole thing happened in 13 and 14 with her. I think that was about it. So it's been about 10 years now. Players who are playing for the Gators now were 7, 8, 9, and 10. They're still wearing those sunflowers, and you'll be seeing them on the TV in Oklahoma City this weekend because the Gators are going to be in the Women's College World Series thanks to that Game 3 win over Baylor. And it's been a wild ride to get there. Sunflowers in their hair the whole time. The Gators have battled a variety of different types of adversity. I would say they had a game that I thought they should have won against LSU. They didn't win it. Well, they came back and won the series. They had a game. They had a series that they lost against Missouri. I thought they probably should have had that. Well, they came back and beat them to win the SEC tournament. So Florida has been battle tested, as we talked about a minute ago, from start to finish this year. So you're not only a Gator fan. I know you bleed orange and blue, but you also work with D1 softball. I know that you have the objective gene in you now too. So what has impressed you with this Gator softball team, and what has been or what have been things that you think we got to clean that up if we're going to win a natty?
I mean, first of all, I think the adversity was there even before the season began. You have 0 returning pitchers. You have 2 transfers that you're expecting a lot out of. You have 2 new coaches. There's a lot of change that into a program that you have this huge standard, right? And so it's hard to get everybody to rise up to the standard immediately. And like, what a beautiful job that Coach Walton and his staff have done of just cultivating an environment where nothing less than the standard is going to be expected, and everybody rising up and wanting to be a part of that. So I'd say, I mean, I said this on social as well, but I just cannot believe that Coach Walton was not the coach of the year. They were picked middle of the pack in the SEC, 0 returning. Like, they were not supposed to do well at all this year. I mean, if you just look at what they were returning, it was like going to be really hard. And wow, did they blow every preseason prediction out of the water, right? And then the other thing I'd say is like the 2 transfers in Jocelyn Erickson and Corby Otis, them coming in and really just playing like Gators, like they didn't come from another program, like being a Gator is who they were always meant to be. So that's been really cool to see them have so much pride in the jersey and doing things the right way. They've been so fun to watch. So yeah, so I think that, and I mean, our strength and conditioning coach, Paul Chandler does an incredible job in preseason of just preparing us. I know that coming in, I was terrified every night before we had a big run. And like, if you don't think that prepares you for super regional, then you're wrong. Like knowing that I can run through the line at 6 a.m. even when I think I'm going to throw up, and I can make a time, like that's easy. That's way harder than getting a hit when the game is on the line. Right. So just doing a bunch of things that breed toughness and ballers, and just this attitude, like if there is still outs on the board, then we still have a chance. And then as far like what we need to do in order to win a national championship, we need to hit. And I think we've been doing that all season. We need to hit with runners in scoring position, pass the bat. I think that they've done an incredible job of that. And then obviously there's a lot of pressure on Keegan Rothrock and Ava Brown to pitch. They've never been to the World Series. This is their freshman year. Incredible the amount of poise that they showed all throughout the super regional. I have said it over and over, winning a super regional is way harder than winning in Oklahoma City. I did not win a national championship at Florida, but I've been there multiple times, and winning a super regional is so hard. There's so much pressure, and your season can be over like that. In Oklahoma City, there's just something in the air that everybody gets, so bought in, and this Gator team already looks like that, right? So I just can't wait to see the magic that's about to happen in Oklahoma City. But I do think like Keegan's gonna have to really like carry the load like she has been as of late. And Ava is gonna have to be ready when her number is called. She obviously had not been getting a lot of innings as of late, and then she comes in that game 2 against Baylor and was amazing. And she performed like she had been in pure shape, like she was pitching the day before as well. So I think those are going to be the keys, and I'm really excited to watch. I can't wait to cheer them on.
Yeah, I'm with you right there on that. I think it's important to point out that everything is relative at this point, because if you're in Oklahoma City, you're a phenomenal softball team. Florida is, by all objective metrics, an exceptional softball team. What would you say right now is the closest thing to a weakness that they have to figure out, because they're going to be going against Texas, number 1 overall seed, Oklahoma State, who is a tremendous team, Kenny Gajewski. I know you know him. Stanford. I mean, this is big girl time. This is the last 8 standing, the Elite 8 of college softball. So what has to get corrected or fixed or changed or anything like that if the Gators are to win a national title?
Yeah, I think that it's too late to change anything or correct anything. I mean, your DNA is what it is, and at this point in the season, you are who you are, and so it's just about trusting that and letting it show in a big game. But I think other than that, I think it's just lack of experience at the World Series. I think that there's a few people that are going to have to be big for us and step up, and like we're going to need Corby to be Corby, and she hasn't been to the World Series. She doesn't know how it is, but I have all the faith that she's going to have no problem showing up and play exactly like how she has all season. And the same with Keegan and Ava and AK and these freshmen that have never been there. So I just say that the lack of experience is the only thing, but I don't think that that's a bad thing or that needs to be corrected. I think that that's just something that you can look at, of just lack of experience. And obviously with not making it last year too, you have a group of sophomores that haven't been as well, but yeah, I would say that's probably my only thing. But as far as like corrected or changed, like we can't hit the transfer portal right now. Like we can't get in new people. We are who we are.
Sure.
And I'm going to choose this group over and over, right? Like they've proven that they can do some pretty cool things in some big moments, and so there's no reason that should stop now.
Sure. Well, I mean, that was going to be my next question. I mean, Florida obviously does a lot of things well. They hit the ball for power. They hit it between the gaps if they have to. They're fast. They have a lot of speed. The defense, Katie Kissler, Kendra Falby in the outfield, are tremendous. Gotta like what we've seen from Keegan Rothrock and Ava Brown as freshmen in the circle. They don't really have a ton of things that I look at and go, that's going to cost them a national title. They don't have that kind of weakness. But they have a lot of strengths. They have a lot of things that I think can get them over the top against a Texas, against an Oklahoma State, against in Oklahoma. Should we meet them in the national title? I'm still annoyed about that 2017 series. We owe them some payback for that. But if Florida is to win the national title, what is going to have to go well for them this week and next week in Oklahoma City specifically?
Keegan's gonna have to be lights out, and we're gonna have to be playing incredible defense behind her. I'd say that those are the keys. Defense wins championships. I know that we say that all the time, and everybody says it, but it's really true. We're gonna need some big plays and the defense to really have her back, because I'm sure I hope that she's gonna play as free as possible and feel no pressure, but she has to know that a lot is on her. But I know that the defense is going to make her feel like, hey, it's 9-on-1. It's not you versus the hitter. It's all 9 of us against her. So I think that that's going to be the key, is playing good defense behind Keegan, and Keegan feeling her best self.
She certainly has the last couple of weeks, and I think the whole Florida team has. I mean, the FSU game in Gainesville seemed to be a turning point for Florida. Mm-hmm. It didn't go well. Nothing about that looked good, and then a switch flips. And Florida, in 12 of the next 13 games, scores 6+ runs, and they win 12 of those 13 games. That is quite a bounce back. What do you think happened after that loss? And just more generally, how can a loss like that kind of spark a team to the extent that loss seemed to? Because before that game, Florida was a very good softball team. Now they seem to be playing elite level of softball. What kind of psychology goes into that?
Yeah, I think that I know nothing, but I think that people had to have been accountable and have had a little reality check of coming together as a team and saying, "Hey, this isn't us. We're going to flip the script. We're better than this. Hey, it doesn't matter really when it comes down to it. A loss is a loss, and it is what it is. It sucks that it was against our rival on our home field, but what are we going to do to from this? Like, how can we get better from this?" And that something had to have been going on with the flip that they've made, and how they've changed and just how they've responded. They almost acted like it didn't happen, right? Like, it didn't take a time period of dwelling on it and acting a certain way. So that was exciting to watch, just to see them get punched around pretty good and then rebound. That's not their story. It's not who they are. It's not the end of their season. How can we be better from this? And they did that completely.
Yes, I mean, I think that's probably exactly what happened. Someone had to have taken control of that locker room. I think, from again, like you said, not being in there, but someone must have made something change, because as I mentioned a second ago, Florida's been a completely different team since then. They've taken that step from being a very good, borderline great team to one of the best teams in the country. And I mean, I think that the thing about that is what you touched on a minute ago. We knew about Skylar Wallace. We knew Kendra Falby was going to do what she did in the leadoff spot. And Reagan Walsh was back. Katie Kissler is back. Those are very good players. Emily Wilkie and Avery Gels are strong depth pieces, but pretty much the rest of the lineup is new. I mean, you mentioned the transfers, Corby Otis from Louisville. Jocelyn Erickson actually has that blue blood pedigree coming from Oklahoma, but Ava Brown, freshman, I think 13 home runs as a freshman, pretty good. Ariel Kowalewski, tremendous glove at third base for Florida. Mia Williams stepping up in the clutch, helping us against Baylor. There have been so many faces on this team that we didn't know of a year ago. They've all gelled together. They've all contributed in their own specific ways. How does that happen so quickly? I mean, you didn't play in the era of the transfer portal, but I know that you've coached in it. So how does that happen so quickly, where a team can gel like that to such a tremendous degree like this?
Yeah, I think that I saw a postseason press conference clip of someone asking this question to Ava Brown and Jocelyn Erickson of just, "Hey, you guys are newbies. How long did it take for you guys to feel welcome here?" And they both immediately said right away. And I don't think that happens by accident, and without happening at the top first. I think that Coach Walton does an incredible job of bringing a program like, "Hey, like this is an incredible place, and you guys are welcome here. But also, it's no one's right to be here. Like, you're going to be here, and we're all gonna live up to a standard, and we're going to do things the right way. You see trash on the ground, you're going to pick it up. You're going to do certain things that will breed better humans." And I think that obviously this group of athletes really bought into the culture at Florida, and then also knowing like, "Hey, we have all of these goals and we love this place so much. We need these newbies to love it as much as we do in order for all of us to get the goal that we all want," right? So it's about much more than that. And obviously you can really tell that the team likes each other. And that helps. That helps a lot. You don't need to win softball games while also liking everybody. But it does help. So and I haven't been around them much, but just from watching them on TV, you can tell that they genuinely like each other and want each other to succeed. And to have Keegan pointing at her defense and just knowing, like, just certain things that I've seen that doesn't look like freshman behavior is really, really exciting. And obviously, Skylar has been a collegiate softball player for 10 years now, it feels like. And she's grown so much and has really worked on being a really good leader. And it's really fun to see her love the Gators so much, and then love the people around her too, and want everyone to come along for the ride. So yeah, I think it starts at the top, and I think that this group has done such an incredible job of making a lot of Gator alums really, really proud. They really do things the right way. And it's really, really fun to watch. And most of all, like, just to see them have so much passion and love for the game and the Gators just makes me beam with pride, because obviously, I mean, it's no secret, I love Florida so much, and I think it's such an incredible place. And so just to see others appreciate it and love it that much makes me really happy.
So where does that all come from? Because I think as human beings, especially when we're young, when we're kids, when we're immature, it's all me is the natural tendency. I think that's kind of how we're raised, I guess. But obviously that stops happening at a certain point. And then when you come into the program in Gainesville, that can't be there at all. So do you think that Coach Walton kind of detects that in the recruiting process? Does he I mean, does some of that just go into coaching? They're just going to be 16, 17-year-old kids and we're going to have to coach them out of that. How does that all happen? Because it really is amazing.
Yeah, I think that it has to happen in the recruiting process. You have to notice a little bit with certain people's DNA, but also it's their DNA. And usually the recruiting process happening later now than when I was going through it. So probably set a little bit more in their ways. But also like I'm not the same human. Like when I left the program, when I was done with my playing days, I was not even close to the same human as I was the day I walked on campus. And that's just a testament to Florida and all the resources we have to better ourselves as not only people, but leaders in our community and leaders in whatever field we want to pursue post college, but leaders in the locker room. And just there's so many things that we can do to better ourselves and learn more about ourselves, learn more about our teammates that you can't help. But if you're there and you're applying yourself, you're going to be a better human for it. So I'd say that's just a testament to obviously the culture that Coach Walton's created, but and what we all do by working together, but also Florida as a whole. I learned so much from even other athletes during my time at Florida. I think that was the coolest thing. Like coming in, from high school, I had my travel ball teammates that really understood me. But that was it, right? I didn't go to my high school team, and I didn't feel like all the girls really understood me and the way I was wired and how competitive I was. And then you get to a place like Florida, and you're around these people, even in the weight room, and just socially, of they're not playing the same sport as me, but we're here, and we're at Florida and we're competitive, and that's really really cool to have it in all aspects of your life, of even friends outside of softball that understand you.
Sure. I mean, I think as we said at the top of the show, Florida does breed a championship culture. It's everywhere. Just look at the walls. I mean, of KSP, of Condren Ballpark on the top of the dugouts and the walls of the Swamp, the Raptors, the Odom. It's everywhere. Championships are the goal. And I think that there definitely is something to be said for being around other athletes who have that same set of goals. So Women's College World Series, Florida, Oklahoma State. That's the first game. That's actually a checkpoint that kind of has stopped Florida the last couple of times we've been there. 19 and 22, Oklahoma State getting the better of us. Also faced them this year. Lexi Kilfoyle gave us some problems. I think it's a very different Florida team now than it was a few months ago, but should point out that Oklahoma State is 1-0 against us this year. Also to be noted, former Florida assistant Kenny Gajewski, who I know you didn't directly play for him, but I know you know him very well. So what can we expect from his squad and the Pokes, and how do you think the rematch goes in what's essentially a road game?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to watch it. I do agree with you that this Florida team is not the same at all as who they were when they played Oklahoma State early on this season. And Lexi Kilfoyle has done an amazing job for the Cowgirls this year. She's been really fun to watch. Her kind of blossoming into their number one after being behind Kelly Maxwell for a few years has been pretty cool to see, honestly. So I'm excited to see how our offense responds to someone like that. Obviously, I expect a much different Gator team when facing her this time around. I think that obviously Oklahoma State is a great they are coached really well and do things the right way, and they're gonna be aggressive and try to score from the first pitch. They're gonna be ready to go. I think that they're an emotional group. They have a lot of awesome fans that ride for them, right? So I think that they play with a lot of passion and emotion, and it's going to be up to the Gators to not let they need to control their own temperature. They need to be their own thermostat and keep the temperature that they need to succeed instead of and not feed off of them.
Sure. So I think that's going to be a game that is going to be remembered for a long time for the team that wins it. I think that it's like you said, I mean, it's two great teams going against each other. Obviously the familiarity with Coach Gajewski and Coach Walton there is interesting as well. Also in the pool, Texas and Stanford, teams Florida could potentially face. On the other pool with Oklahoma, UCLA, Alabama, and Duke. The loser of the 1-0 game does swap pools, so Florida could be potentially playing against any of those teams as well. What do you make of the 8-team field as a whole, and how do you think that? I know you're going to pick Florida to win, but just from a talent and from a results up to this point standpoint, how do you think Florida stacks up with the rest of the 7 teams?
Yeah, I think that Florida is one of, if not the hottest team in the country right now, of just how we've played as of late and just how things have been kind of rolling our way and just how everybody's been playing truly. But as the group as a whole, I think it's as competitive as softball has ever been, which is really exciting for the sport. I think super regionals were the most fun to watch that they have been in a long time. Having 5 if games on Sunday and 5 tickets being punched on the last day of super regionals was really fun to watch as a softball fan, of just watching so much good softball. I'm so shocked that Alabama beat Tennessee the way that they did. They looked like a totally different team. So I am excited to see what they do in Oklahoma City and see this different Alabama team that we have not been seeing all year long. I picked Tennessee to mercy them in 2 games. I thought it was not even going to be close. And wow, like, was I so wrong? And I'm okay with that. Like, it was incredible softball and it was so fun to watch. So I think that we're just going to continue to see even more competitive games. I hope we don't have every game going into extra innings, but it really feels like we're on our way because everyone's so evenly matched and is really playing the game the right way. So I can't wait to watch.
If you could go into the Gators locker room 20 minutes, 30 minutes before the first game against Oklahoma State, you can speak to them one time for the entire College World Series. What are you telling them?
Oh gosh, soak it up. Just like take a second, at least once a game, to just soak in the moment of the teammates around you. You're never going to play with this group again, and the fans, and just how awesome this is for our sport and how you get to experience this. I think that wearing Florida across your chest on this stage is the biggest blessing. So just to have fun with it and play free, because the story's already written. So how are we gonna just soak it up and just be you and just have fun? God, it is the best place to be, especially during this time of the year. And I'm so excited that this group gets to experience it because they truly deserve it. So I would just say to have fun, soak it up, and laugh and know that your heart, like, try to lower your heart rate in big moments and just take a deep breath and know that you're going to be fine. You guys are ready, and just to enjoy the ride.
It has been a crazy ride so far. We don't want it to end quite yet. We think that there may still be a couple more hills to climb, and maybe we get across that those final few steps of the mountain and claim the trophy. So last question. I know you're a Gator. I know you bleed orange and blue. I know you've picked Florida to win the national championship. Now you see the field of 8. We've talked about that as well. But the Florida Gators will win the national championship if who gets hot down the stretch?
Kendra Falvey. If Kendra gets hot again with the rest of the lineup where it's at right now, I think that Skylar's in a really good place. I think Jocelyn's in a really good place. Corby's in a great place. Reagan Walsh is in a great place. We get Kendra hot again, they're going to be incredibly, incredibly hard to beat.
I mean, she's made some good contact. I think she's just gotten
absolutely.
lucky.
It's literally been a few games, so that's why it's not even like she's not ice cold. I'm just saying once Kendra gets the ball rolling again.
Yeah, well, her and Reagan Walsh. I was glad to see Walsh finally get one out of the yard, but I mean, she got unlucky in that she smoked a few, and they were just right at the fielders. I'm like, you can't do anything else about that. You hit the ball the way you were taught as a little girl. You put the barrel on the nose of the ball, and just you have nothing to show for it. But good to see her finally get a home run, and then good to see Falby in the regional get a nice base hit. We're going to need her. I think that's definitely a logical pick for that. So Amanda, thank you so much for your time. Definitely appreciate your insight as a former player and one of the best to ever do it at that. Where can Gator fans read more or listen to more of you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Amanda Lorenz 18, and you can follow me on Instagram at Amanda Lorenz. I'll be playing this summer with Team USA and Athletes Unlimited, and I'll be always cheering on the Gators on social and in person.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Amanda, so much for your time. Definitely appreciate your insight. And I hope, as well as you, that we're going to get to watch the Gators win a lot of games in Oklahoma City and hopefully the final two next weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.